And I only bring up Life, Love, Regret specifically just because of the way that album is looked at. And don't get me wrong, I love Ritual. I'm sure everyone loves Ritual, but that album is like, honestly, like I think you would put it up there. It's highly iconic, and it's groundbreaking. Like, just the music, just the way that you're singing. Like, truthfully, like, I'd never heard anything like that. Like, I remember when I'm even to this day, like, when I listen to that album, I kind of want to make sure that I can set aside some time so I can be with it from beginning to end, kind of thing. And my question,
thank you.
Oh, wait, say thank you. Did you have any idea, like, you talked about lightning in a bottle, did you have any idea when you were doing it? Like, did you ever think, like, wow, like, okay, like, I'm capable of this, or wow, like, this is better than I thought it was going to be?
Yeah, I remember at one very particular time when I came back and we were practicing. I was blown away at the first 4 new songs, and I just kind of remember thinking, like, okay, now it's interesting. I've been in some bands before, but very rarely have I been in something where you're like, okay, we're hitting our stride. Like, I think the toughest thing when you're in a band is, like, when you figure out your sound and your message and all that stuff. Well, I think for us, I remember hearing those first 4 songs at, like, Todd's garage when we were practicing, and thinking, like, okay, this is really good. Yeah, we made that change from the Ritual album, dropped D on the guitars and stuff, but yeah, I could just really tell that, Steve and Todd really also, I'm sorry, Steve and Eric and Todd and Rob, everyone really, they all really were just hitting their strides musically too. Just really writing some pretty awesome songs.
Which brings me to something. I've never really known the answer for this. It like, there was that show that you guys played at the Showcase. It was like 1996, I think. It was you guys and Mean Season. It was one of, like, your last shows, because you weren't going to obviously play your last show in Corona. Last show was going to be in San Diego. And I know that you played after that, obviously. But I guess what I've always wondered is, like, I kind of knew why Mean Season, stopped playing in 1996 for a while. And, obviously speak on this as much as or as little as you want, but, like, I never understood why you guys did. It almost sort of felt, because I didn't know anything, I was like, are they just sort of like, did they make like a blood pact? Like, hey, you stop, we're, Mean Season's stopping, so we're stopping. So, which is obviously wrong. So, yeah.
Well, it was definitely something, like, I didn't want to stop, because actually at that point in time, I was getting better on guitar, and I was actually looking forward to, I actually had a song. I shelved it too. I never even used it for anything. Anyway, I actually had maybe like half a song that I was looking forward to contributing, but Steve and Eric at that particular time said they just didn't have any more material in them, and I respected it. We had that unreleased song that got released on the discography on the Indecision. And I really like that song too, but I mean, I had to respect that. I can kind of understand where it's coming from as someone who, writes music on guitar. Sometimes you feel like, there's only so many places to put your finger on the frets. There's only, so many, like, open E riffs you can do. And I totally get it. I kind of wish we would have went on hiatus personally, but I respected it, and it's great to. I love playing with those guys. I'd love to write music with them, again sometime. But like I said, it's a group thing, and everyone's got to be on the same page. And but yeah, to answer the question, really, they said they just didn't have any more material on them, and they just didn't want to, if they just didn't have any more material, they kind of felt like, what's the point of doing it? And I respected that.
You know what's really interesting to me about that is, I mean, you guys were really big, like you still are. Obviously, you know, still there's a lot of interest. And what was interesting to me about that is I interviewed Kevin Murphy for this, and I was like, you know, were you upset that 411 broke up when 411 did? Because 411 was big at the time too, and it just then stopped. And it's just interesting because Kevin's answer was very similar to the answer that you got from you know, those guys that, hey, we just don't have any more material in them. 411, I guess I can kind of understand that. You guys, the only reason that makes a little more sense to me, and I mean, you know, either reason is the band's reason, and I'm by making more sense, I just mean that I understand it more, is like you guys were more of an experience, in my opinion, as far as like seeing a band. Like, I'm not saying you guys were like Guar or something where it was like that, but there was so, like, literally emotions laid bare. Well, and that's why in Orange County Hardcore Scenester, when I used, there's a clip of you guys. I don't know if you've seen that documentary that I made, but there's a clip and it opens up and literally you're screaming and you're like, every day. I don't remember off the top of my head exactly what you're saying, but I was like, I just want people to get just a glimpse of what this band was like, you know, when, you know, back, you know, in the 90s. So
yeah, I remember it. It was kind of an experience, and it was weird to this, and I don't mean anything egotistical. I realized it at one point in time because I remember I had a lot of friends. You know, San Diego is such an awesome music scene, but you know, I had like these friends that were, you know, in you know, like Drive Like Jehu and all this stuff, and I remember like I was like, I don't know how they're gonna take my band, you know, like. And I remember, you know, a couple of them were like, yeah, this is awesome. And I was kind of like, wow, we kind of did somehow have a way to be a hardcore band that kind of had this, it's hard for me to paraphrase, but.
You crossed over.
We had this like overreaching kind of like, I don't know, it was and it's hard for me to describe and put to words, but yeah, it was like, it was an interesting experience when we played. Like, and plus we always had a lot of kids that would kind of. It was really crazy doing that last West Coast tour. We had like 30 people following us up the coast. It was pretty awesome.
A few bands later, Carrie Nation took the stage. Shortly after that, Judge, a band from New York, took the stage. Andrew and I left a few songs into their set. As I was leaving, Nelson introduced me to Greg Brown, Scott Sundahl, Paul T., and other members of a group known as the Orange County Sloth Crew. Eventually, they would nickname me Mushnik, which was a character I had been in a high school play. On the ride home, I had no idea that those people I had just met would become and would be the gateway to the best friends I would ever have.